Hey everyone, welcome to this new episode of LinkedIn for Leaders. My name is 𝗁𝗲𝗄𝗃 and I'm your host for this evening. And I'm just going to add into the stream Anirudh. There he is. Hey Ani, how's it going?
Good, Karan. What's happening with you?
All good, bro. Congratulations on the big news.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you.
You've been hearing that a lot from a lot of people, rightly so, given all the work that you guys have been doing for the last 2.5 years.
I feel like it's more a relief than anything. It's not a. It's. I think some people. I mean, people around us might be congratulating us, but I think for us, it's. Imagine we've been thinking about the last 3 months at least, right? The whole fundraise. So finally, when it hits the bank, you're like, okay, this is real. But till then, it's some anxiety, I think.
Yeah, and obviously there's a lot to talk about because, including at some point in time in the conversation, the fact that you used an AI agent, not surprisingly, as part of the fundraise. But yes, ladies and gents, as I was saying earlier, this is LinkedIn for Leaders. This is a show that I do a couple of times a month. I was doing it every week, earlier in the year, and it got a bit hectic. So after a little bit of a break and recharge, we're going to do this a couple of times a month and focusing more on depth and quality of conversation. I think this is definitely one of those to look forward to. So thanks for joining, Ani. And I'm going to kickstart this with a quick introduction to Anirudh.
Thank you for having me, dude.
Anytime, bro. Glad that we're doing this again. And I realized that we're doing this almost. Actually, I published the last conversation on the 14th of November. But in all fairness, Anirudh and I probably spoke in June, and then for a variety of reasons, completely my fault, I was sitting on the conversation for like 4-5 months. But I did see that the conversation was published on the 14th, and I do have a couple of notes from there. But before jumping into that, I'm going to start with a quick intro to Anirudh. Yes, so Anirudh is the co-founder and chief growth officer at LYZR.ai, an AI agent builder platform. He has previously built Everythingai.club, an AI tools marketplace, Masterlife, a life skills platform, and GrowthSpartan, a performance marketing company. And before that, he's had other experiences as well. Besides these companies, on a personal, on the more on the personal front, Ani has done an Olympic triathlon, written a book, and even was called up to the Indian national camp for basketball. Therefore, a perfect embodiment of life meets you where you meet it. Yeah, I mean that's the intro. Anything I've missed, Ani? Anything you want to add since we last spoke?
All good. It feels like a lifetime ago. Some of these things. Yeah.
And
So yeah. But thank you for having me.
anytime, bro. Anytime. And like I said, a lot has happened since we last spoke, and I picked out three quotes three things that you had said in our last conversation about a year and a half ago. Tell me if they still hold true. You said where AI learning goes, invest 10% of your time every day, and in a year you'll be 90% better than the rest. Does that still hold true?
Yeah, I think in terms of if you have to quantify that, even if it's like half an hour every day, and I think learning by doing, I think that itself stacks up instead of just learning. I think theoretical learning, I think there are lots of courses out there. Like, I think it should almost be like I was curious about Perplexity Comet, and then I used it and I tried applying it to my life. And then I had all these like micro breakthroughs. I think that's how we should maybe think about learning now. And they all kind of start adding up over a period of time. I think that becomes exciting. I mean, sorry if I'm jumping straight into it, but we started using Whisper internally, and then recently I started using Perplexity Comet. So like I use Whisper for all my Slack and my emails to speak, and then now Comet adds this layer of it can read through all your emails and also put it in drafts, and then also create LinkedIn content and keep it ready. So like I think some of these things are absolutely moving to voice, and I don't think I could have imagined that even 6 months back in terms of minimizing typing as much.
Amazing.
So, yeah.
So voice is a primary interface for a lot of this interaction.
Yeah, it's like earlier it would almost be a psychological thing, like, oh my God, I have to respond to emails. Now I think that's just you can get through emails faster with voice, which is cool. Kudos to Whisper. They've done a good job.
For making that happen. And so actually that segues nicely into the second thing that you had said. And we got 6 minutes into this and you already, Vimal is asking for an internship. I'll tell you what, Vimal, why don't you listen to the full conversation, and based on today's conversation, send Ani a more personalized pitch, that might appeal to him, and maybe you get that internship anyway. So the second thing that you had said was for someone who doesn't know where to start. You said focus on, can you teach, can you do, can you create? Is that relevant today? And can you explain what that is and are there any changes?
I don't think that will ever change. I think that, I think that's so independent of AI. Something as simple as like when Lovable comes out or other came out, you're like, hey, I built this prototype, and then you get your team to build a lot of these and you teach them some of the prototypes that you made. Yeah, I think you should continue. And teaching doesn't have to be like you get an audience in front of you. You can also be like, I'm seeing a lot of people do that on LinkedIn, right? Like you build some agents, let's say on N8N or LYZR, and then you wrote about it and you create content, and then there was like a feedback loop that kicked in. So I think even personally in the company, I feel like every time recently we were at Morgan Stanley, we were at Dell, then there was another event that we spoke at. It was just like, oh, we had to put a lot of these marketing use cases together. We're like, oh my God, you don't even realize there's all these things that's happening across that you can just aggregate and learn about it in like half an hour, 45 minutes. So yeah, I mean, that wouldn't change, I think, Karan. So yeah.
Sounds good. And the last thing you said was products are commodities, distribution is where it's at. And I've heard you say this recently as well. As an add-on to that, you'd also said that people don't talk enough about their craft. People post about a lot of other stuff, but they don't talk enough about their craft. What are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, distribution's huge now. I'm seeing a big move where companies are raising money in the US, predominantly founders who are really good at product and engineering, and they are trying to figure out distribution. And distribution today, like the ones who are in the game and have figured out distribution across the board I think they'll win. They'll win big. Like, there's so many tactical things you can do per channel, which I think is cool, but kind of how all of that comes together, creating a culture where everyone in the company is also bought in and executing at the speed. Like, everyone's talking about, hey, use this tool and then you're able to do this faster. I think what we're underestimating also is, let's say if you have 4 or 5 people coming together and everybody feels like there's this momentum and we need to get a lot done. Like speed has become, a moat as well. And distribution usually slows down the moat if you don't have it. So I can tell you at LYZR, there is definitely a culture of like, we need to execute fast. And now we're slowly moving to, we'll still continue executing fast, but maybe be more deliberate, be more enterprise focused. Like earlier, we would be okay with like putting stuff out even if I had a few mistakes. I think we need to transition into, we're not okay with those mistakes, but we can maybe slow the pace down, but the quality is really good. So yeah, man, I think distribution is still huge. I don't think a lot of founders have figured out distribution. Founder-led brand is a smart thing to do. And there are ways to hack that also. Like if you have a company backing behind you, like I was talking to this lady, Mohini, she has like 218,000 followers. She was telling me she posts twice a day, 7:30 in the morning and 4 in the afternoon. And she was like, there was one post that gave her 50,000 followers.
Really?
And yeah,
Wow.
and sometimes you don't know what it is. And I've seen like the broader you go, it starts getting better. LinkedIn, I think, definitely rewards broader appeal, but yeah, we also for the longest time would amplify founder content. Like, can we spend $100, $200 a month just like amplifying specific posts that start doing well? Or it's like we've created content for a specific audience and then you want to amplify it to that audience. So performance within LinkedIn is also slowly evolving, which I think is interesting.
So you used thought leader ads for that specifically, or did you use
no,
the
just
company ads like on LinkedIn company
on
page?
LinkedIn. No, not even company page. Just like I think if you are an admin on the company page, you can also amplify your account. Or there are ways to run individual ads as well. So I think a lot of the ads was, and we like, for example, the Series A funding thing. We were like, man, can we spend $500 on Shiva's and mine and then do separate LinkedIn amplification, right? Like his does one audience, mine does another audience maybe. And it makes sense if as you start getting bigger, one amazing LinkedIn strategy could be is like you just get more people in the company to post regularly. So two things that we tried to do was at one point in time, I remember we were measuring like, can we get more than 50 people in the company to post every week? So you have one person just dedicated to be like, hey, just give me a voice note. I'll create the content, give it back to you. One set of folks just needed ideas. You give them ideas. One set of folks just needed motivation and one set of folks who just would write consistently no matter what. And then and then they would just get strategies on what are the other things that you can do on a weekly basis. And I think if you figure a way to grow at 2% week on week, I think that's a good method to go after.
Okay. When you say grow 2%, are you saying your follower base, your followers? Okay. And
followers.
And how do you think of engagement in that context also?
I've realized the more you post, the more you get rewarded, which is surprising. It's not like it reduces your reach. If you get more than, I think 15 to 20% of your audience, how much is that? If you get, let's say you have 10,000 followers, you get more than 1,000 impressions, I think that's a good start. That's how you should think about it. And then the ones that do really well, exceptionally well, will go to the 30,000, 50,000, 100,000. So like 2x, 3x, 5x your follower count. But if you can consistently figure 10 to 30% of your audience sees your post, I think that's a good win. And it is more about reshares and comments and then likes in that order.
Sure.
I actually will give you two separate examples of two posts that had approximately similar number of likes. I don't know if I can share my screen. Actually, it's quite interesting. I just saw that recently. I had a Taylor Swift. Can I?
You should be able to see if you have the option. Quite honestly, I haven't. One second.
Yeah, I think I can share my screen.
Yeah. Okay. Amazing.
You see my screen?
Yes. Amazing.
So do you see this? Can I close this? Okay, This one, you see 526 likes, 120,000 impressions.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
One repost and 79 comments. 339, let's say 340 likes, 99,000 impressions. Initially, this, by the way, there was one point in time where both are very similar. When this was 370 at the same, sorry, when this was 340, this was also approximately 340. I kid you not, the ratio is almost 1:5, which is this being 100,000 impressions. This was only 24,000 impressions.
So
So
then
now
what?
I guess the ads are running on this now.
Okay, got it.
So the
So
amplification of that is happening.
So platforms rewarding that way. Okay.
Yeah, but no, I was going to say platform is rewarding these kind of things.
Yeah.
Like just generic shit, which appeals to a lot of people,
No, in fact, I mean, I have a bunch of questions, and since we're we're going in a couple of different places, one of the things I wanted to ask was you do use humor a lot in your communication, including your announcement of the Series A. There was a really humorous video, and then you've done these parody videos of you, LYZR, with Wolf of Wall Street, and a couple of the movies. You use memes very regularly. So from your perspective, why do you do that? Why do you think that works?
I mean, we're just having fun with it, I think, also, which is cool. See, I mean, we got a great team, dude. I think you won't believe the person who runs our social right now, he's starting full time in Jan. He's just finishing college. Yeah,
Wow.
so he's the one coming up with all these ideas.
You're saying he's running social?
He runs our LYZR social.
LYZR social, okay.
Yeah, I run my own. I mean, I don't have a ghostwriter or anything. I write my own stuff on LinkedIn.
Yeah.
But the interesting thing is, like, this Wolf of Wall Street, actually a lot of it's like just you need somebody in the company just keeping a pulse of like, hey, this is trending. So Prince and Faraz are two guys in the team. We almost have like an experiments team, but they saw like this apology letter back in the day. They were like, hey, can we do a variation of that where agents are like, we apologize that we made a blunder, and basically about like just giving people back their time, right? And then that had like 300,000 impressions. But after that, I remember at least, I'm not even kidding, there must have been 15 other companies that copied this whole apology post.
Oh, really?
Yeah, in different formats. And then we were like, this is great. Now we just have to get good at identifying this and being first.
Yeah.
In some of these things, So
what,
I think,
do you know what the inspiration points are, where they're looking to find some of these ideas?
Instagram is actually surprisingly some good mining of social content. Because surprisingly, the Instagram audience and the LinkedIn audience they're not necessarily posting at both places, and it's a different kind of content, right?
Yeah.
The other one is, once you tune your mind to it, I think it comes down to how do I apply it to what you're doing at LYZR or what you're doing in your company. I think it's just about, I get a lot of, so I'll give you some context. Like, I follow a bunch of people on LinkedIn, and we have a LinkedIn group, internal group within like the messages of LinkedIn. So anything which starts doing well or looks interesting, I'd be like, hey, can we try this video but with this variation? So Wolf of Wall Street actually was not our idea. I see Salesforce came up with the idea. And then we were like, oh, that was really cool. Now, how do we apply that to agents? And we were at that point doing a campaign around Agent Force and LYZR, like, how do we take on Agent Force? Then I looked at them like, hey, why do we have to stick to Wolf of Wall Street? Let's find like 4 or 5 movies. So we did one, which is, we did that 𝗵𝗵𝗄
Any given Sunday. Yeah.
But what ended up happening was, we were like, hey, that didn't give us enough traction. That was too long. We need to stick to a 1-minute format. And I already made the script for like Matrix, Show Me the Money, 𝗺𝗵𝗵𝗁. And all of this is actually not hard to do. Like, you have to be smart. You download the transcript of the movie, and then you put it on ChatGPT, and then you're like, hey, retain 80% of it. Like, I want to keep the same word limit. This is content about LYZR end to end. Can you rephrase that? And then what they end up doing, the experiments team will clone the voice of Al Pacino or these guys, and then they will add the lyrics on ElevenLabs, and then they will add it back on Adobe Premiere Pro, and then create the content. I mean, take the content live.
Nice.
But I feel like you had a very different question to start off with. I think you started
No,
with.
no, I mean, it was exactly this, man. Like, I mean, the reason I love the fact that you use humor in a big way. Sure, objectively, I think it works for the kind of work that you do, but think I don't think there are enough people using humor in an AI context in general, and I think there's too much like this heaviness, seriousness around it. And inherently, you just use a different kind of emotion that a lot of people relate to. The chances of it just being noticed, and of course, it has to be great content, it has to be relatable, you know. Like I'm working on a play right now, and so we're taking, and I'm presently in Goa, and we're writing this play called 𝗵𝗲𝗃𝗲𝗁 Mahakali, right? And so it's one of the songs that we're making up is we're taking the Friends theme and then making it set in Mapsa, Goa, with a fish market. So there is a lot of relatability. So you see a Wolf of Wall Street, you see an image of Anirudh with Taylor Swift. There's a lot of relatability over there, but there's a twist, right? And that's what brings people in, which is why I love the fact that you're using humor in a big way from that angle.
Yeah, I mean, I didn't even think of humor. It's funny you say that. Like, my team makes fun of like a lot of the LinkedIn comments that I leave behind, which is a lot of like just tripping on people and like belting them in some sense, maybe unnecessarily. But yeah, I mean, you have to first get good at just being consistent. Like, Shiva's following this like massive, like when I say like he's 2x, like we both essentially started posting on LinkedIn at the same time. Shiva is on a fantastic, like he has an agent for LinkedIn, so he speaks into it and then creates content, and but he is adding value through a lot of the technical knowledge, and while being very like focused on this is what we are seeing on the ground with customers, and I'm passing that value back to you. And he and I are taking a more different approach. Mine's becoming, at one point in time, I remember it was about, can we focus on two different segments? So his became more product, his became more banking, mine became more marketing and HR use cases. And then maybe the product kind of gives you that. But my recommendation is for any companies, man, you should really leverage the team to post content at scale. Like, and everybody kind of takes their own voice and starts putting it out,
And on that, actually, since for how long have you been leaning into that, and what kind of before and after have you seen? Because this is something that I had spoken to another client that I'm working with, and said that like we're working with their MD's profile, and we've seen a fair amount of traction over time. But I said that the disproportionate value that you can unlock is if you get your CEO, your HR head, your finance head, legal, etc., all of them talking, and then you have the next layer also, right? And it's, of course, LinkedIn is also cracking down on engagement pods, where people are just sort of the repeated set of people, and that's not really working, or they're cracking down on that. But that doesn't change the fact that, okay, just like you've done yourself, right? There's you and there's Shiva, and I follow both you guys, and I love the fact that there is a candor and an honesty in the way you speak, and a lot of y'all, both of y'all, actually talk a reasonable amount about the culture itself of the company, right? Like for you, in the way it shows up in the video that you might do, and I think Shiva posted yesterday, in the last couple of days, about that waking up at 3 a.m. Kind of post, and the importance of that, right? It's not you're not creating a crash culture in that sense, but you're saying that what does it take to have that degree of ownership. And then suddenly there are many people in the organization doing that lends so much credence to the story. But there's also the disproportionate value of, listen, there are 2 accounts and then suddenly there are 12 and they're telling honest stories. We just get so much more traction. So what are you seeing as the before and after in this approach?
See, not like everybody ends up posting consistently. That's another angle, right? Like the smart thing to do, if ideal, like utopian state is everybody posts, massive amplification because no other platform rewards reach like LinkedIn. It's cheap, not many creators, whereas TikTok and Instagram's and Twitter's flooded with writers, right? So LinkedIn, there are not as many quality writers as well. There are a lot of I got a job or it's some generic stuff with somebody's pictures, which does well. And it's important to understand that game as well. So you can decide what direction to take. But there was one phase for a month where we were doing that consistently. And if LinkedIn was giving us, let's say, 8 or 9 MQLs a week, that was moving to, let's say, 14 or 15 MQLs a week. And for us, MQLs, a lot of the direct traffic is also attributed to LinkedIn for us.
What percentage would you say? I mean,
direct traffic?
Yeah. Of your various channels that you're using.
For us, the number one, wait, on November 10th, I'm seeing if I have the deck for this week that I can pull out, which I won't share, but let me see if I can have. So, actually, since that's taking time, our number one traffic today is still SEO and performance, just Google Ads, and then followed by LinkedIn. Actually, followed by direct traffic, but a big chunk of direct traffic is assisted. So now when I say big chunk, let's say I get 100 MQLs a week, maybe 25 will be organic, 30, 35 will be performance, 15 to 20 will be brand. And then it'll say 5 or 6 are specifically LinkedIn social.
Okay.
Now, that direct 15 can be broken down into a big chunk being LinkedIn. So LinkedIn's organically works well. And also remember, there are a lot of people reaching out, DMing you saying, hey, let's chat. Shiva maybe gets a lot more Booker demos because, the way to think about also is, especially when you're doing B2B SaaS, is your primary network will most probably notice you and reach out. Then the answering network will want to get in touch with you. So for Shiva, that's maybe I think he's maybe getting 2 or 3 a week.
Okay.
And I'm getting maybe 1 a week of direct message saying, hey, this was crazy. I just met somebody from KKR today, which is a private equity firm. They came to the office, which is mad. But he's from Singapore. He said, I'm here. I heard about LYZR through someone at Ernst & Young. We want to know, we're trying to figure out something on the agent side. Can we chat? Right. So I think those things are rare because that's super rare, but DMs and direct traffic's one. The other ones is we still haven't figured out how to rank on LLMs yet. That's still a black box for us.
Okay.
Still figuring that out.
Have you leaned into putting a lot of content on Reddit because that being the source for a lot of the LLM content?
We did a lot of seeding in Q3, specifically around Agentforce and LYZR. Especially people looking for, they were looking at migrating from Agentforce, let's say. Which is interesting. See, Reddit also, they've clamped down Reddit also in a big way for it to not rank. I attended a session by G2, and G2 is a big traffic influencer for LLMs. So G2 is another platform to really go after. And if you have a good relationship with AWS, you can leverage some of the credits from AWS to maybe even get your profile done, run ads on G2 and stuff like that.
Okay. Sounds good, man. I mean, we've talked about a lot of stuff. I just want to go a little bit deeper into just your approach of content, because we've got a really interesting lay of the land, a bunch of different things that you've covered, but some stats that Ani shared with me before this. So in the last year, he's got about 1.2 million impressions, reached 370,000 accounts, 15,000 plus engagements, and nearly 10,000 new followers. And one thing you'd said, I feel we've talked a little bit about this already in this conversation, but the only way to stand out is to be you. So, I mean, if you were to, is there anything else that you can make a little bit more granular between the way you're approaching your narrative, how you've approached your narrative over time versus Shiva? I know that you talked about him focusing more on product and you're focusing more on marketing, etc. But maybe, a little bit more around that in terms of the narrative arc, and also maybe how you're thinking of it going forward, given there's been this huge inflection moment, right? You've just raised your Series A, etc.
In the larger scheme of things, I don't have many followers. And objectively, Karan, I don't even have a strategy for LinkedIn outside of just posting regularly.
How often do you post? You post like 2-3 times like at least 3-4 times a week, right?
3-4 times a week. I usually schedule some on a Sunday for the week.
And you do this writing yourself. You don't. I know sometime back you created a AI agent, but maybe Shiva is using that. You're doing more of your own writing.
I also have a LinkedIn agent, but what happens with the LinkedIn agent? See, LinkedIn doesn't necessarily allow the easy, like uploading a video is still manual. So I can still create content using that. But I don't know. I end up just, for LinkedIn, for some reason, I prefer writing on my own. And it's like maybe bullet points, crisp kind of style. But like, I think your question was around the arc, right?
Yeah.
See, there's one thing definitely that I think over the last few months that we have started doing is you can just chase trends, man. You can just chase trends as part of your LinkedIn strategy and win. Like literally, like, and what do trends, like if you have to get granular, right? Lovable comes out, you're like, man, I built something on Lovable. There's this really cool thing. Oh, by the way, you can integrate Lovable with LYZR, right? Nano Banana came out with VO3. We're like, shit, how do we create something cool? I saw somebody do something on Narendra Modi. I was like, or Elon Musk. I was like, oh shit, maybe we should do something Taylor Swift. So you could change, and it's crazy how there's a trend every week now with AI. It's either a tool trend or it's a OpenAI update trend. It's a layoff trend.
Where are you tracking these trends? Is it on like Google search trends, or is it just someone has really good instinct?
I mean, definitely not Google Trends, and it's not some automated email also that comes and checks. Like we are, maybe let me see if I can share my screen, and we could do like a live, like how if there's something out there that we want to play with.
Sure.
Right. So this is my. You see my feed?
Yes, I do.
So it says China stepping up, Xpeng just revealed Iron Robot, right? Alex Banks. He's got 79 followers. He put 2 hours ago. So this is automatically going to do well. So I might just go and like read a little bit about this. But this is not my brand, if you want to call it. Like this is not something I would post. Right? By the way, this is also doing really well. These kind of formats, Karan. See this guy where people are just going raw and speaking in front of the camera.
Yeah. Because that's more
Uh,
real, more relatable in that sense, as opposed to being polished.
yeah, yeah. See this, holy shit, Gamma's AI agent. This is interesting. So say, holy shit, now you can build agents in just 3 clicks using Gamma's AI. I've built 100 plus agents. I already have Gamma, right?
Mm,
So they
mm,
have all this. I will definitely go play around with some of these things.
mm.
See, she has 258, 18 reposts. It just makes sense for me to create. And 7 hours ago. So this
Mm.
shit's going to go
It's really going to get
wild.
off, yeah.
Yeah, she's going to do 1,000,
So then
right?
just on that, are you saying that you will then find a post like that and then see if there is a different take that is specific to LYZR that you can then do and do a version of it? Because you know
Yeah,
that that's what a lot of people are engaging with right now.
yeah,
So then inherent
yeah,
to that, would you then say that try and find creators who are already creating a lot of content in your niche, because I mean, they're creating your news feed in some ways of things that you can follow.
yeah. And Karan, the other thing is like a lot of the ideas don't necessarily come from me.
Hmm.
They come from a lot of a lot of the folks in the team as well.
Mm-hmm.
So there's like maybe some conversation that happen, and it's not like an active. So right now, one of the things that I want to do is, hey, we launched a playbook. Can I push the playbook out? We're doing a webinar tomorrow.
Yeah.
Sorry, next week. We're launching Agent Architect. I'm traveling to Bombay tomorrow, and there's like, oh, can I take a picture from the event? So it's like, it's also a mix up, man. Like, I don't think, from a founder standpoint, no, I'm not playing the deliberate game of I want to hit 100,000 followers. Would I like to have 100,000 followers? Hell yeah, right? Um,
But
but sometimes,
on that
hmm,
also, like, would you prioritize, let's say you're at 20K followers right now, right? Would you then take, and you said that you're maybe getting one DM a week, and then Shiva is getting maybe two or three, etc. You, from what you've said, 100 MQLs, you're maybe getting about 20% of that through LinkedIn and different ways of attributing to it. Would you take, let's say, if you want to 2x or 3x your ARR, and you find that uh, if I can just up the quality, I mean, you're already focusing on that, basically tweaking those signals as opposed to true follower number. So you have higher quality of conversion, or, inbound interest as opposed to true followers. Or do you find objectively that from all the people that you've spoken to, the natural game to play, natural progression is that, okay, the more I grow my follower count, that is naturally going to happen anyway. And it just makes sense to optimize for both.
depends on the game you're playing. I don't think I'll talk for myself. I don't want to lose my voice or freedom of just saying what the hell I want to say at the cost of followers. Like if nobody wants to, I like to write. I like to talk about a bunch of stuff. And if some posts do well, awesome. If some posts don't do well, okay. Like it's not a, it's sometimes you're like if you do the job for the money, then like everything, a lot of your energy starts going in that, right? Like
Hmm.
so I'm not playing the LinkedIn game for followers. If I was, then I should be doing a lot more things out of my comfort zone.
Like what?
I should be posting a lot more personal stuff.
Hmm.
You know?
Because that's what does well.
Yeah. If I'm willing to say, dude, I put a picture of my mom and me, and my wife and I, like, oh, we celebrated this Diwali thing. I have so many pictures sitting on my phone that I could just rejig every week and start putting shit out. Dude, like follows will come. But then what kind of audience will you get, right?
Correct. In,
Um,
in fact, that's a great point that you make there, because like there are more, like, I mean, everyone from the CEO of Hootsuite to there's this Galaga who's the CEO of Aligned. Then there's the founder of Winter. All three of them, actually, at least the founder of Winter and Aligned, they both said that they get at least 60% of the inbound through their posting on LinkedIn. But they focus on something that we talked about right at the top of the conversation. They focus on the craft. It's not about, I went fishing and I met XYZ. They really like. I mean, 𝘄𝗵𝗲𝗁 on his post, he regularly gets like 500, 700, 1500, 2000, etc. Pretty much on every other post. Now he also says that he spends like they spend nearly about 4 hours per post, really, and 45 minutes.
Researching and
Yeah, just researching deep sort of work over there. So that's where I was sort of also coming from, in terms of the true follower number versus like deep research, etc. But at the same time, like I also want to just quickly segue into some of the bunch of things. Like I think I was just reading your posts of the last 10 days. You've talked about the 𝘺𝗲 fundraising agent. You've talked about 𝘺𝗲 slides, which is an alternative to Gamma. You've talked about 𝘺𝗲 architect, which is like some other version of Bolt. A month ago, you mentioned Diane, which is the HR agent. And even further back, you've talked about Jason and Scott. So I think there's so much inherent value that you're creating from the company. So there's obviously that makes it, would you say that makes it a little easier to have really good stuff to talk about because your core thing, you're focusing on a great product?
I mean, we are lucky, and it's a double-edged sword. We are lucky that we're horizontal as a platform. So you can talk about use cases across industries, across functions. We also have a platform. So there is meat in that sense. But no, I think there is definite advantage if people identify you as, hey, this person is good for this. Like, follow 𝗺𝗲𝗶𝗳𝗃 because, dude, he's good at building a brand on LinkedIn. Like, follow this Akshat guy because for finance, right? Like, what is that brand association? For me, like if I still haven't found what that is for me, maybe. I like being just broad. Maybe I should be very focused towards talking about go to market. How do you scale companies, right? Like that could be one angle that I really take, and like really breaking down everything, culture, tactical stuff, frameworks. And that could actually help really amplify my brand.
100%. Also, just want to call out to the audience, guys. We have Anif here for maybe another 10 minutes. So if you'd like to leave any questions in the comment stream, that would be really helpful. So one key thing that I also want to talk about, Ani, is just content signals, right? Because I think you mentioned elsewhere that Shiva started the company in April 23. You joined him in December that year. So it's maybe coming up to 2 years for you. And you guys have obviously gone through raising some seed money and then, got to a Series A. Objectively, what would you say are signals that either you consciously put out or inadvertently came out through your journey that sent out the right signals to people who are looking at you, to potentially fund? Because I mean, I understand that, you used a funding agent to do it, but it wouldn't have happened without many other signals before that also. So can you think of, and you maybe call out some of that arc, or what are some key inflection points in terms of messaging that you put out?
I mean, there'll be maybe 3, 4 pillars of content if you want to talk about. There's a lot around 𝘺𝗲 product, 𝘺𝗲 platform, 𝘺𝗲 use cases, how it can add value. Like that's a big pillar for me, but it's not just that, right? Like and focuses videos, images, 5-second quick recording of a screen share of like using my screen, cutting that up and then putting that on LinkedIn, right? Another pillar is definitely tooling, AI, like just what we are seeing on the ground. Yeah, so AI is definitely one pillar. Third pillar may be around like GTM, maybe. Those could be 3 pillars. Yeah, so I think that's maybe like an arc, but And then, yeah, the trending content, hey, this is what's trending, like how do we capitalize on that and push that out?
So
I
you're
do
also
feel like,
go ahead.
I was going to say, I do feel like it makes sense to have someone dedicated for your LinkedIn.
It makes sense to have someone dedicated.
Yeah. So that the way I look at it is, if you have a pretty big go-to-market team, you can afford to do multiple channels at the same time, right? You can have one person dedicated for just outbound and one for ads, right? Like, and let's say at LYZR, we are doing 10 channels at the same time, right? One of the things we're also going to run experiment is like with AI avatars. Can we create 8 new accounts and have UGC kind of content saying, check this out, all AI avatar driven? But like, you need bandwidth. Like I can give you all these ideas, but you need bandwidth to make that happen. So bandwidth comes from people. But if you don't have bandwidth, if you're just like a one-person company, then I think it makes sense for you to like deeply think about that one channel and be very deliberate about that. Like, when you mentioned that person, right? Or they spend 4 hours to do that research, and it makes sense to do that. Like Adam Robinson also does that, right? Which is, and he has a dedicated day for it. That's the direction I would love to also get to, which is you spend a lot of time reading and you spend quite a bit of time writing and telling the world.
So deeply layered, insightful sort of content in that sense. And just on what you mentioned about the different content pillars, what percentage would you say was informed, going back to something that we were talking about earlier in the conversation, what percentage would you say is informed by actual customer conversation, sales, marketing, email threads, etc.? How much of that actually informs these different pillars?
Like all these threads, when you mean like from the team or from the pulse internally and external, right?
Yeah, I mean, you're talking about LYZR product, platform, use cases, 5-second quick recording, GTM, AI, etc. But there's a lot of gold that comes, in customer conversations, right? So even if whether it's about AI or so, how many? I mean, can you say that there's a certain percentage that comes just from live customer conversation that we have? We track those and then sort of repurpose that in some interesting way. Is there a clear, do you have a sense of that you can share?
I think a lot of, maybe if I had to break down one thing that we do well is I think we're talking to customers a lot. A lot. Like Shiva does a really good job of, and that information trickling into, hey, this is what we need to add on the pricing page. This is what we need to add on the feature set on the platform. This is what our messaging needs to change. Like, for example, somebody, let's say, very random, but let's say somebody comes to us and says, oh, how are you different from Agent Core, which is AWS's platform? On, like, there's something called Bedrock, there's something called Agent Core, and which is, some people compare us in terms of the agent building layer to it. And however, we have a strong relationship with AWS, and they're complementing. Like people can build on LYZR, people can build on Agent Core, LYZR integrates with Agent Core. So now, if I had to, let's say that question came, like, oh shit, okay, so immediately, do we create a comparison page? Do we create? Does that lead to? So this content creation. See, LinkedIn is just one way of expressing it, right? So we have to just be good at how you want to express that. And I think Shiva is very quick at expressing that information from a customer or something into LinkedIn. And I think his strength is definitely themes and like feeling the pulse of the market. Mine might be more across the board. Like I think customers, one signal that we get from him, like, and competitors maybe, I get a lot of the signal maybe from talking to everyone in the team, right? Like I'll talk to maybe the customer implementation team or talk to the product team, like, and then you'll realize the hard reality of some things that work really well, some things that don't work well, right? So I wish I could have a better answer in terms of our arc that we've had. Like if we were truly, I think if Shiva and I, I'll speak for myself. If I was a lot more deliberate about my LinkedIn, I should have been at double the followers for the number of posts I put out.
Sure.
But it's a compounding effect. Like if you're growing 100%, like next year 100% might look different.
Yeah, I mean, you of what you shared, you have grown 100% last year to this year, and then growing 100% again from 20K to 40K. That's a whole new number. And I on a different conversation, I heard that to get to that perceived top creator, you need about 30K on LinkedIn compared to 200K or like a million or whatever the number might be. Just going back to the fact that there's a big opportunity over here, but how long that opportunity lasts also remains to be seen, because LinkedIn itself as a platform is making some big changes. Obviously, we just have the last couple of minutes. Quick word if you have one quick thought, and I have one more question, which is Fauzan asks, what's more important, content quality or content quantity?
Why can't you have both? But quality though. If you had to have a trade-off, it would be quality.
Be quality, especially like you said, if you have a single person, or a smaller team, etc., you need to prioritize. Then maybe do it in quality versus quantity. You're obviously in a hot space right now, and I asked you the same question when we spoke about a year plus ago. What are 3 things that you're excited to see unfold in this space in the next 6 to 12 months?
Oh, wow. I want everything to move to voice.
Okay.
Yeah. I'm actually quite excited about where LYZR.ai is headed, which is agentic workflows are going deeper into business process. Is solving like some really good use cases. Like we did one for like LSDJ recently, which is like a healthcare company, which is like a co-pilot for doctors. Right? And everyone within the hospital could use it, irrespective of which specialization it is as a co-pilot. So I think that is. So I think I think some use cases which are you're like, oh my God, it's actually adding value. I think those might be quite exciting. Dude, video is getting very good.
What about video are you excited about?
I like the idea of cinematic ads, which are long form that you can create with a tool that you don't pay more than $19 a month. Like I think that, like imagine we could do cinematic ads at scale for performance.
Nice.
That I think is very exciting. Also, I don't get enough thinking time, man. It's a lot doing. So I think it would be nice to get. I would be excited about getting some thinking time.
Amazing. On that happy note, I hope you get. I mean, with this key announcement that you've made, I hope it also leads to more, delegation and more freeing time, and you create an army of agents for yourself also. So it'll be interesting to maybe have one more conversation as a trifecta in a year's time, and see what that leads to. Paul had one quick question. If you had to pick one platform only to source clients, what platform would you pick?
I think depends on the kind of clients you're trying to attract. Like if you're we're launching something called Architect soon, which is a very like product-led growth kind of product. Like I would be like, how do I dominate Twitter? If it is, I know my audience is a little B2B. $19 is not my only product. I have a $199, I have a $499, and it's like I'm starved on folks. LinkedIn is the easiest to get off the ground and humanize, and like you don't have to learn what SEO is, right? Like otherwise, so that's one. I also feel like you could run a pretty good business today, also not posting content at all. I know players today that are doing $3 to $5 million a year just through AWS. Like they don't have shit. Like they have no marketing presence and they can't get 100% of their inbound from AWS. So then it's just about doubling down with that partnership.
Okay.
So definitely nature of the business. You like even if you through your own network you close 1 or 2 clients and you're willing to play the slow game, like you could do like build a nice agency business, keep getting referrals, right? So
the AWS thing is a referral kind of thing, is a partner, AWS partner kind of thing.
So the way to think about it is AWS for the longest time, they provide hosting, right? But they needed implementation partners to help people migrate from, let's say, on-prem to cloud. So if you just became good at migration, and you got to be known for a specific domain or an industry, you get flooded. Now you're seeing the same way with AI. You are good at AI implementation for a specific vertical. So and you could do the same thing with Azure or GCP, right? So I think it's about just building that partnership kind of play. Yeah, I think it comes down to how short-staffed you're. Like LYZR's, dude. Now we have almost, I would say, 15 to 17 people just in the marketing team. You know, and that's maybe 15 to 20% of the company. And it happened early. Like I remember when we were, like I've spoken to startups, they're like, hey, we're 22 people and now we're hiring a first GTM person. Whereas LYZR, I think maybe it's also because Shiva comes from it's a second-time entrepreneur and realized distribution is super important and takes time to build. Is like our marketing team was pretty big early on itself. Right? So I think those things also make a difference.
Make a difference. Yeah, and
Yeah.
he obviously saw that you came with a tremendous amount of skill in that specific domain, so it was a really great fit. But yes, I want to be. I hope that answered your question, Paul. I want to be conscious of Anirudh's time. And if anyone, I do feel that we at least have maybe another half an hour that we could go, but we don't have that time right now. And if people have to reach out to you, where can they find you?
Yeah, LinkedIn's good. LinkedIn is good. You can always reach out on LinkedIn. Emails are all over the place right now. Like there's too many things, too much. Like I don't know if I've signed on for a bunch of shit and I get like a lot of like spam. So that you track, whereas if you're human, I actually go through a lot of my LinkedIn messages. So yeah,
so that's probably a better place. On that happy note, thank you, Anirudh. I really appreciate you making the time to join here today. Great conversation again, as always. Not surprised, but great conversation. And hopefully, like I said, we had one on the 14th of November. I mean, I released that on the 14th of November. We're releasing this on the 11th of November because people can see the stream right after this. And so maybe sometime in early November next year, we'll have the third in this series. But congratulations again, and wish LYZR and the whole team much success. And,
thank you, dude, and good luck. Looks like you've been consistent with this as well, so I hope that pays off. And yeah, let me know when you're at WeWork next. I mean, I haven't been in WeWork in a while, but have you still been going?
Well, I'm actually, that background is representative of where I am. I've relocated to Goa. So,
Hey, nice,
so the next time
nice,
you're here and you're getting some beach time, that's when we should meet and chat for sure.
amazing, amazing, cool.
Awesome. Thanks everyone for joining in. And this is LinkedIn for Leaders. We have one more really interesting conversation coming up on the 25th of November, where I'm speaking with Vikram Ahuja, who's the CEO of Talent 500 and co-founder of Answer. Really big names in the GCC space, and he's also built a really interesting founder brand. And with that, thanks for joining us. Follow us on LinkedIn, and see you in the next one. Thanks, Ani.
See you, dude. Thank you. Take care.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye.